Hello, welcome back to Free Speak. I'm your host, Michael, and we're gonna be free writing with our mouths today. I'll be free writing with my mouth. I'm gonna be free writing with my mouth today. Okay. Well, hello, welcome back. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos so far, because I am enjoying doing them. The hardest part, though, is finding the time. Whatever, that is more on my part, and if you want to talk to me, it's a little difficult. It's not always the easiest to, find a good route to film on, but, we found one, and it's working for me. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about birthdays and commemorations, and the weirdness, it's not really that weird. I mean, you're commemorating that you've been alive for a certain period of time, which is good. I mean, it's good, it's an achievement, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you've been alive for 15 years, good job, you survived, woohoo. Anyways, that's what we talked about last week for those of you who are tuning in late. That's okay. So today we're just gonna talk about something different, something that comes into the mind and is like, whoa, booyah, new idea, new thing to talk about, whoa, so cool, awesome, fantastic. I'm just literally stalling for time because I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but probably along the same veins of birthday celebrations, weird traditions that we have, because that's kind of funny. Like, I don't know, how weird is it that we have cake at birthdays, right? That's weird. And how weird is it that we have balloons? I did have a thought, and this was something that I was like, what? Okay, the guy who invented balloons had to be pretty stinking interesting. I don't know the exact history of it, but balloons, right? So they're this latex rubber, right? So latex, right about the start of inventing latex, was probably used for important things, and then you make a balloon. But why? Why a balloon? I know that there were hot air balloons, but those weren't necessarily always latex. They were, used with cloth. But balloons, it's like someone invented an idea. He had the idea of, okay, hey, we're gonna take this latex pocket, I'm gonna blow it up with air, and then we're gonna tie it, and then it's gonna float. Like, why would you? I don't know how did you? But the balloons, we use them all the time. I don't even think about them, but we should think about how they came. I don't know. That's just another weird thing to think about. I've been playing a lot of chess recently. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a really good game, and I think it develops strategy. The game, it really develops strategy, and it forces you, if you play it correctly, and if you learn how to play it, it forces you to analyze decisions. And not just decisions, but also analyze what the consequences of decisions are. Because that's all really chess is. It's, you move, the beginning of the game, you have limited moves. And I think within the first move, you double your possibility of move. It's really cool to see just how many games of chess there are, and that even if we played all the games of chess, we would never be able to, if we started and we played one game, this one version of chess every single time, and only changing one thing at a time, it would still be unlimited. There is practically an unreachable amount of games that you can play in chess, which is super cool. I love that. About the game. Another thing is that it forces you to forces you to think ahead. You can't just move pieces because you want to move pieces. No, you have to move the piece, and then you have to think, okay, if I were to move this piece here, what would my opponent do? And then you have to think about, okay, how do I move my piece in such a way that I can achieve what I want to achieve while also throwing my opponent off and then not being able to do that? And then you can't really predict sometimes your opponent, which is really cool because it translates into life really well, that you can't really predict what anyone else is going to do. You can only plan your events and think about the consequences and go with that in mind. Like, I know one of my favorite players that has ever played against me. He taught me that chess is just a game, and you're just playing to learn. You're just playing to experience two different thinking styles, and that you two are thinking it out and dueling, and you have decisions that you make, which is actually kind of cool. Like, I know there's certain people who take it really seriously, or certain people that you can just like, oh, well, how come you didn't see that, or you weren't thinking of that, you were only thinking of here. It shows you a little insight to their mind. But he taught me, and I've kind of adapted it, that it's not about the pieces, it's about the dynamic. Like, what he would always do is he would always put me in a position to where I have a choice of whether or not to sacrifice my queen or not. To swap queens or not. Which is really, that's, for a lot of beginner players, that's the best piece because it's so powerful. It can move in any direction it wants to. And so as a result, it's just extremely versatile and very, very powerful. But what he would do when we were playing together, he would offer to take the queens out of the game. And which is really interesting. It's a really interesting concept, and it's just like, whoo! Once you lose your queen, you kind of go into defense mode. Especially if you lose her on accident. That's a very difficult thing to do. And a difficult thing to cope with is when you lose your queen on accident. But yes, I'm a huge fan of chess. Love that iPhones now can play chess with each other. It's great. It's fantastic. It really sharpens the mind. There's other games too. I don't really know that I've played too many of those. But I am a big board game fanatic, and I think that board games are very important to the upkeep of your mind. I think it teaches you strategy, and it gives you a clear insight to something that's gonna benefit you in the long run. Just because it teaches you strategic thinking. It teaches you to weigh options, to plan ahead, to have these things in mind as you do it. So, for me, it really, I don't know if it's necessarily credit to board games or if it's credit to my parents, but it's easier for me now to multitask and to plan ahead about what needs to get done, what I want to do, who's going to be around, or what's going to happen, and what could happen, and what if I did this, then what would happen. And so that really, I think, comes as a way of sharpening via board games. The other thing that I really like about board games is that you never really play board games alone. Like, I haven't seen a board game that you can play alone. Kind of. Like, I guess you could play Boggle alone. You could also play other stuff alone. But the idea is that when you play a board game, it's usually 2 and more people. And so you sit down and you fellowship with others while also still making these strategic plans and building moves and planning ahead and just constantly thinking about what's going to be next. So it's both a community thing and it's also a strategic thing. It teaches you to think while also teaching you to be able to fellowship with the people around you. That's pretty stinking cool. I love that. Trying to think what else about board games. Love Settlers of Catan, one of my personal favorites. It's such a great game, and it's just timeless. It just keeps going, and it's just a great game. I recently bought Boss Monster. That was a pretty cool game. I'm thinking about buying Dominion here in the near future, because that's another one of my favorites. Board games, I mean, they're great. And you can have, and it's good because you can come back and you can have people play it time and time again, because the dynamic should be different with the different people you play, or with the games, the ability to change. That really helps. What was I going to say? One of the games that I'm looking to buying is called Time Stories. It's actually like a game that takes you 40-something hours to play altogether, and you have to just keep playing. You come back and you continue from where you left off, and you just keep doing this whole cycle of, okay, we did this last time. Okay, so this time we got to have this. We have all this information written down. Da 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 da. Okay, we played for 4 hours. Now we got to stop, and then we're gonna come back and play for another 4 hours. Really cool. Risk, also fantastic. The classic game of Risk, where you try to take over the world. Great, so good, so good. It takes a long time, but it's so stinking good. Just fantastic. I mean, it's a strategy game about making alliances, breaking alliances, figuring out that, you know, even though you have all these troops, some of them might not make it, and you never know what's going to happen, but you have to be willing to risk it. Love it. It's so fantastic. Yeah, but I definitely think that board games are something that you should invest in. At least one of the classics: checkers, chess, cards, or really any other board game really works. Sorry, Parcheesi. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a little bit of a shorter video. There's really no, I mean, not a lot to say. There's nothing really like stirring on my mind that I'm like, ooh, I want to talk about this. This is just, I mean, it's just a little more insight into me. Is board games. I really do like board games, and I think they're very important. And I wish I had more board game nights, because board game nights are fantastic. And sometimes you have them and they're great, and then you kind of fall out of them. So board games are great, and I think we should bring them back. Bring them back. Yeah, so anyways, guys, thank you guys again for all your support. Sorry this isn't as glamorous as it could be, or has been. Honestly, it's been a gloomy week. This whole week in Kansas City, it has been raining, drizzling, it's getting slightly cold. It's not necessarily freezing, it's just uncomfortable. It's just sad, tiring weather. Like, it's not the best. We'll get through it. Next week should be fantastic, so that'll be great. But this week it's been a little blah. Blah. As I said, it's been blah. So, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Comment, subscribe, like. Show your support. Share it with your friends. You guys are amazing. I love that you support me. I will have more content for you next week, along with maybe some possible stories. Who knows? Maybe I'll think of some stories to tell you. Alright guys, you guys are the best. Have a great day.